Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Put the women and children in bed. Let's go have some dinner for tonight. This is going to be a rough one. Got a little runny nose. Cold has come back with a vengeance. So I will struggle through this as best as I can. Let's get to local news here. Come New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, 5 days ago, North Kakalaki defines sex as male and female under new law. It goes into effect on Thursday. So North Carolina's returned to reality. It was about 10 years ago when Roy McInerney? I was in Denver at the time because the Super Bowl year. That was during the bathroom bill stuff. So he was like one of the last guys to stop fighting this. The full court press went after North Carolina then, if you remember that. NCAA went to ban them. Concerts went after them, all this other stuff. They went to boycott the entire state because of the bathroom bill. So back there, North Kakalaki has returned to normalcy here. They've done other laws. This is the only one that really anybody cares about outside of here, really. You finally made a live show, Phoebe. I've actually. Oh, you finally made a live show. Yes. Hey, welcome, Phoebe. In clerical news, Charlotte priests submit dubia to the Vatican over liturgical changes. More than 30 priests from the Diocese of Charlotte submitted a set of questions to the Vatican related to recent liturgical changes announced by the local bishop, including the decision to ban the use of altar rails and kneelers for communion. 31 priests, that's roughly a quarter of the priests in the diocese. 2/3 of the signatories are pastors. You talk about uniting the, I don't want to say uniting the clans, but him causing unity. He's causing a lot of unity. The United Kingdom announces mandatory digital IDs for all newborns. Parents who refuse will be jailed. Talk about that escalating quickly. RAF, if it feels like I'm going a little fast, you see the number of links I have up top. This could be a 20-hour show easily. So if you want all the show notes, they're underneath right now. If you're new to the show, click that. And it's 3 pages. It's 4 pages of Word documents of links. RAF jets carried out joint strikes on ISIS-occupied base storing weapons in Syria. Let's get right to all. This is why you came, really, right? You came from Venezuela. You're all about that. That's the only thing in the news. What else is going on? I know I saw something else that happened today. Anyway, England is on the cutting edge of 1984. That is, yes. No truer statement has been made. Here's Elon Musk. Yesterday, had a lovely dinner last night with POTUS and FLOTUS. 2026 is going to be amazing. And everyone remembers the pretend fallout. Time to drop the real bomb. Trump is in the Epstein files. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that whole thing was just drama, made for TV drama. As sands through an hourglass, these are the days of our Trump. Let's get to what's next here. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Remember this? No one's talking about this anymore. Remember the whole Minnesota thing with the guys going into the filming the daycares? Yeah, he got called. I remember I did a little thing. It was just one clip of that he was working with the GOP. Here's more on it. As Max said, if my kid was at a daycare and they let random men with cameras come in to look at my kids, I would probably sue them. As Aaron Rupert. Yeah, I see why these childcare properties weren't eager to let some rando dudes asking where are the kids. Yes, okay, I get it that they're trying to make the Somali connection, but still, if we use reason, we're going to go, They're not letting the guy with the camera come in to video the kids. I saw the meme. This guy, what's his name? I forget his name. Nick Shirley. He was going to Chick-fil-A on Sunday and going, hey, they're closed today. And here's Nick Shirley, who's being promoted by Elon Musk, J.D. Vance, and the entire conservative media sphere, is a fanatical Zionist Israel firster. He literally went to Israel to do a propaganda tour just a few months back. All the Zionists are doing, Somalis, blah, blah, blah. For those who don't remember, independent journalist Nick Shirley is the same guy who once paid Hispanic day laborers to hold up pro-Brandon signs in front of the White House so that he could make a video about it. Let's see. Same as it ever was. Trump commutes sentence of kosher meatpacking executive Shalom Rabuskin. Once a future king, President DJT has commuted the prison sentence of Shalom, who was sentenced to 27 years in prison for money laundering. We remember this man ran a $1.2 billion nursing home fraud scheme and was pardoned by once a future king, President DJT. There's another. Here's another one. Joseph Schwartz, my Schwartz is as big as yours, stole $38 million in Medicare and tax fraud, running nursing homes in collapse and residents still inside as state stepped in. Here is Zillow's CEO is ready for another slow year in the U.S. housing market. Slow is being kind. It's going to be abysmal. Sad to see out Catholic YouTubers to dismiss all the Latino Catholics who have been persecuted in communism countries like Venezuela. I hope the U.S. never experiences. I mean, I get it. But the thing is, you still have a rule of law, and you have to, if conservatives care about, they have to stay with the Constitution. Well, they have to have a declaration of war from the Congress. You have to go in with Congress. There's still things you have to do. Don't matter if that guy's bad or not. You still have to go. That's the whole idea. We got this coming up because Massie brings up Madison, who talked about the you can't. That's why they don't have the executive as the guy who dictates when they go to war or not, because that's what the elected that's what the monarchs would do. I mean, back in the day, if you read the book Missing Monarchy by Jeff Smith, he gets into that. And it wasn't like what we think of today as all this because it cost money. But when you think about the empirical ones like United Kingdom and things like that, I mean, all you have to do is this one guy says, "Hey, we're going here." Da-da-da. Now you got an elected monarch in D.C. And yes, they haven't done it since World War II. Vietnam was a police occupation too, remember. Here's a great book that will explain a lot of what's going on. Yankee Empire. And the bottom of it is aggressive abroad and despotic at home, which comes to the Robert E. Lee quote that he has said after Appomattox, so that the U.S. federal government would become aggressive abroad and despotic at home. And pretty much you have the puritanical mindset now everywhere. Anyway, get it. It's a great read. It gets into like, if you know about Hawaii, if you heard about the bayonet constitution, that it gets into that. Maybe you don't have a clue what they're talking about. The Queen of Hawaii at the time called it the bayonet constitution because the feds, the U.S. D.C. came in and pretty much put a bayonet to their throats and said, "You're coming in." Panama, the whole thing with the Panama Canal. I brought this up before. Teddy Roosevelt forced secession of Panama from Colombia. And the funny, ironic thing is he hated Jefferson Davis for breaking away from the states, from the Union, but it was okay when Teddy did it. And Teddy put his own people in, killed a lot of people. They get his people in, forced them out, and then a couple decades later, the U.S. sends Colombia some money as a mea culpa. Don't worry, they have a lot more stories in it. Great story, a great thing. Here is a flashback from August 23rd, 2024. RFK tells a cheering crowd that Trump told him he wants to, quote, end the grip of the neocons on U.S. foreign policy. Quote, "Don't you want a president who's going to get us out of wars and who's going to rebuild the middle class in this country?" If it was a Zionist, yeah. The real reason the U.S. is invading, you see where we're going now? This is the rest of the links. If you don't want to hear it, why are you here? And then two, I'm sure you came here because you saw the thumbnail. And three, you're going to get all kinds of stuff you haven't seen on other people's sites at all. The real reason the U.S. is invading Venezuela goes back to the deal Henry Kissinger made with Saudi Arabia in 1974. And I'm going to explain this. Why this is actually about the survival of the U.S. dollar itself, not drugs. We'll get into that too. Not terrorism, not democracy. This is about the petrodollar system that has kept America the dominant economic power for 50 years. And Venezuela just threatening to end it. Here's what really happened. Venezuela has 303 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, the largest on planet Earth, more than Saudi Arabia, 20% of the entire world's oil. But here's the part that matters. Venezuela was actively selling that oil in Chinese yuan, not dollars. In 2018, Venezuela announced it would free itself from the dollar. They started accepting yuan, euros, rubles, anything but dollars for oil. They were petitioning to join BRICS. They were building direct payment channels with China that bypassed SWIFT. I thought it was about fentanyl. And they were sitting on enough oil to fund de-dollarization for decades. Why does this matter? Because it goes against the narrative. Because the entire American financial system is built on one thing, the petrodollar. Yes. In 1974, Harry Kissinger, God rest his soul, made a deal with Saudi Arabia. All oil sold globally must be priced in U.S. dollars. In exchange, America provides military protection. The single agreement created artificial demand for dollars worldwide. Every country on planet Earth needs dollars to buy oil. This lets America print unlimited money when other countries work for it. It funds the military, the welfare state, the deficit spending. The petrodollar is more important to U.S. hegemony than aircraft carriers. And there's a pattern of what happens to leaders who challenge it. 2000, Saddam Hussein, former friend of the U.S. government, announces Iraq will sell oil in euros instead of dollars. What happened? 2003, he was invaded, regime changed. Iraq's oil immediately switched back to dollars. Saddam lynched. The WMDs were never found because they never existed. You all know this. 2009, Gaddafi proposed a gold-backed African currency called the gold dinar for oil trade. Hillary Clinton's own leaked emails confirmed this was the primary reason for intervention. Email quote, this gold was intended to establish a pan-African currency based on the Liberian golden dinar. 2011, NATO bombs Libya. Gaddafi sodomized and murdered Libya, now has open slave markets. We came, we saw, he died. Clinton screeched on camera. The gold dinar died with him. And now Maduro, with 5 times more oil than Saddam and Gaddafi combined, actively selling in yuan, building payment systems outside dollar control, petitioning to join BRICS, partnered with China, Russia, and Iran. These 3 countries leading global de-dollarization. This isn't a quinky dink. Challenge the petrodollar, get regime changed every single time. Stephen Miller, U.S. Homeland Security advisor, literally said it out loud 2 weeks ago, quote, American sweat, ingenuity, and toil created the oil industry in Venezuela. Its tyrannical expropriation was the largest recorded theft of American wealth and property. He is not hiding it, and Miller is not a kind guy. They're claiming Venezuelan oil belongs to America because U.S. companies developed it 100 years ago. By this logic, every nationalized resource in history was theft. But there's a deeper problem. The petrodollar is already dying. Russia sells oil in rubles and yuan since Ukraine. Saudi Arabia is opening discussing yuan settlements. Iran has been trading in non-dollar currencies for years. China built chips, their own alternative to SWIFT, with 4,800 banks and 185 countries. BRICS is actively building payment systems that bypass the dollar entirely. The M-Bridge project lets central banks settle trades instantly in local currencies. Venezuela joining BRICS with 303 billion barrels of oil would accelerate this exponentially. That's really what this invasion is about. I thought it was about drugs. There's not a lick about drugs in this whole book. Not stopping drugs. Venezuela accounts for less than 1% of all U.S. cocaine. Even the U.S. government website says this. Not terrorism. There's zero evidence Maduro runs a terror organization. Not democracy. The U.S. supports Saudi Arabia, which has 0 elections. Hey, that guy in Ukraine, Zelensky, did he just ban elections so he can be pretty much the ruler of Ukraine for, I don't know, till they have elections again? But that's okay. This is about maintaining a 50-year-old agreement that lets America print money while the world works for it. And the consequences are tiring. Man, how much more is left? Russia, China, and Iran are already denouncing this as armed aggression. China is Venezuela's biggest oil customer. They're losing billions. BRICS nations are watching a country get invaded for trading outside the dollar. Every nation considering de-dollarization just got the message. Change the dollar or we will bomb you. But here's the problem. That message might accelerate de-dollarization, not stop it. because now every country in the global south knows what happens if you threaten dollar hegemony. And they're realizing the only protection is to move faster. The timing is insane too. July 3rd, 2026, Venezuela invaded, Maduro captured. January 3rd, 1990, Panama invaded, Noriega captured. 36 years apart, almost to the day. Same playbook, same drug trafficking excuse, same real reason, control of strategic resources and trade routes. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. What happens next? Trump's press conference in Mar-a-Lago sets the narrative. U.S. oil companies are already lined up. Politico reported they've been approached about returning to Venezuela. The opposition will be installed. Oil will flow in dollars again. Venezuela becomes another Iraq, another Libya. But here's what nobody's saying. What happens when you can no longer bomb your way into dollar dominance? When China has enough economic leverage to retaliate? When BRICS controls 40% of global GDP and says no more dollars? When the world realizes the petrodollar is maintained by violence? America just showed its hand. The question of whether the rest of the world folds or calls its bluff. Because the invasion, blah, blah, blah. You got it. Man, you guys are really typing over there. I saw this thing just boom, 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 boom. Yeah, okay. Thank you for keeping up with all that. I did not realize that was a 5-page article. I'm sure it's just a coincidence that less than 4 days ago, Bibi Netanyahu, the war criminal in Israel, said exactly the same thing while he was visiting Trump in Mar-a-Lago. As Fox News pundit says, the unconfirmed U.S. invasion of Venezuela is for national security against Hezbollah and Iran, as well as Russia and China. Bomb, 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 Iran, bomb, Iran. Breaking: Venezuela blames Israel. Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez blames Zionists for the attack and kidnapping of Maduro. She declares that Venezuela refuses to be enslaved by Zionists. It really is every single time. Excuse me. And one of the things you notice about that is there hasn't been a regime change per se, because the government is still still there. Now, Trump says he's going to take over the oil industry. We're not socialists, though, Just U.S. got the government just taking over an industry. It's totally socialist when we say it's somebody else. But no, all the government's still intact for now. I think I heard from the judges. I'll show that here in a second. Judge Knapp's interview with a lady who wrote a book about Venezuela, that they will have an election in 4 months, I think, if nothing changes, if everything stays exactly the way it is. Is Venezuela a just war? No. Start a separate channel. I do have a couple separate channels. I have a music channel for AI music videos, a kids cartoon video channel, News from the Pew channel, and I don't know. No one told me to start a new channel when I was doing the rundown on this channel. I mean, everyone loved it. And if you don't like it, just skip over. No big deal. No harm, no foul. It's fine. Dylan Allman, no matter who you vote for, you always get John McCain. There's video and a bombing that was going on. Oh yeah, garden channel. Forgot. Thank you, Phoebe. I also got a garden channel. Yes. Tulsi Gabbard. It's about oil again. This is back in 2019. Bolton just exposed real motive for intervention in Venezuela. John Bolton, we're in conversation with major American companies now. It would make a difference if we could have American companies produce the oil in Venezuela. We both have a lot at stake here. And what is it? Oh, I thought I have it. Maybe I don't have it. I thought I had her speaking again. She's all for it now. U.S. oil companies going to Venezuela. Trump, start making money. Venezuela operation not over. We are prepared to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. Why? I thought you came in, you grabbed Maduro, you left. Why do you need a second attack if it was just about doing that? That doesn't make any sense right now. We have RU and CN stations right here in Minnesota. There's Tulsi. Patrick Hennington, Tulsi needs to resign now or be unmasked as one of the biggest political frauds of our era. Today, we see the bombs raining down on Venezuela. U.S. troops deployed in another regime change war based on 100% fake intelligence and fabricated evidence. Here's the supposed director of national intelligence on October 31st, 2025, claiming Trump was putting an end to Washington's endless regime and nation-building wars. Yeah, if she had any principles, she would resign and say why. Here is Thomas Massie talking about the the clause of the Constitution that calls war and peace to the legislator, not to the executive. Madison called it the crown jewel of Congress. The framers understood a simple truth: to the extent that war-making power devolves to one person, liberty dissolves. If the president believes in military action against Venezuela is justified and needed, he should make the case, and Congress should vote before American lives and treasure are spent on regime change. You know what Trump said about this? Trump got mad at him about this. You know, they swear to obey the Constitution, except none of them ever do that. You know that. This is great. This is the real reason why Venezuela is under attack. U.S. Southern Command Chief General Laura Richardson just said the truth out loud. The U.S. focus in Latin America isn't democracy. It's controlling oil, lithium, gold, and rare earth minerals. Venezuela, with the largest oil reserves and key strategic resources, is the main target. There's all kinds of rare earth minerals out there in Venezuela. They got the I'll show you a little bit. They got black sand, and that's good for tech and things like that. Price more for bed too. Yeah, it's always a good idea. Yeah. Donald Trump is no different than the warmongers he tried to hate. 1989, Bush abducts President Noriega. 2003, Bush captures President Hussein. 2011, Obama murders Gaddafi. 2026, Trump abducts Maduro. Again, all this stuff, you know, Nobel Peace Prize. They need to create a Nobel War Prize. Again, if you want to check all this, we saw he died. He died. Yeah. Colombia President rages, "Come get me, I'm waiting," and huge taunt to Trump. I thought this was massive huevos. Uh, Pretty good on Petro too. I mean, again, none of this is saying that, hey, I'm for Petro, I'm for Maduro, I'm for this, I'm for that. I'm not saying Maduro is anything less than a horrible person. No idea. That's not what I'm talking about. You still can't do what they did. Here's Petrov just recklessly taunting Trump. "Come get me, coward. I'm waiting for you." Yeah. And that would be something if Trump really does all this. I mean, he's threatening everybody right now. In 2002, the U.S. regime orchestrated a coup in Venezuela, and Chavez was kidnapped and taken away by helicopter to be executed by CIA Mossad agents. But the Venezuelan masses came out onto the streets demanding the president, and quickly overthrew the fascist coup regime and forced Chavez's return. This was all captured in the brilliant documentary, "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." I don't know if there's a link for the whole thing. You can't protect the Constitution by breaking it. You remember Bush Jr. Saying that we have to destroy the free market system we have to save the free market system by destroying the free market system. Yeah, you know, I don't know. I think I could do it. It's just my personality, though. That's why I would never go to Mar-a-Lago. I poke the bear too much. And that's why the Catholic talking heads out there will never bring all this stuff up, because they want to be invited to Mar-a-Lago. So they'll sell their principles for this. They'll talk about Pope all day long because they know the Pope's not going to do anything to them. But I guarantee you, ask any of the talking heads that go to Mar-a-Lago, they will not say a thing about Trump or challenge the crown, because Trump either helped build them up, got them to the platform they're at now, or they've been to Mar-a-Lago and they want to go back. They know they're not going to get banned from Rome. They'll talk about the Pope all day long. You ain't going to have anybody say anything about, you're not going to have any of those guys talk about Trump. Washington commits war crimes in Venezuela. This is a Solari report, Catherine Austin Fitts. This is an act of total desperation, and precisely because the U.S. is teetering on the edge of economic and financial ruin. She is pretty darn good in terms of economics. So I would think about that next time. I've heard about that, Bella. or belly. I've heard about that one. A couple of people have told me about that. I didn't know that was Maria Esperanza. Said everything will start with Venezuela and we should stick with the U.S. to avoid a war. Yeah, the U.S. is not going to be the safety bin, though. As cool as the operation was, this is a friendly guy. This is a guy who likes the idea. Mike Huckabee just said toppling the Venezuela regime is great for Israel. A member of the Rothschild family just publicly praised Trump for toppling Maduro. The woman set to lead Venezuela, Maria Conchero Machado, is a fanatical Zionist, extremely aligned with Benjamin Netanyahu and a friend of masonry in Venezuela. Maduro is an intense critic of Israel. Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez just said this attack was done to enslave Venezuela to Israel. Venezuela is one of the few remaining countries remaining without a Rothschild central bank. The attack happened within 48 hours of Bibi's last visit with once a future king President DJT. There's clearly a lot more going on here than meets the eye. We're advancing to the New World Order agenda on Israel's behalf, and Iran is probably next. General Jack Keane had a massive Freudian slip on Fox News while discussing Venezuela. Quote, the implications here are really great for Israel. I mean, Venezuela people. Hee. Bolton says this is the only beginning of a much longer process for Venezuela. Remember, Bolton has never met a regime change he's never liked, and that the entire regime must be dismantled. Bolton says he is pleased Maduro has been captured, but stresses that Maduro alone does not represent the full regime. He says Trump's team must remove others who control the weapons, the courts, and the cartels. Why did Bolton get kicked out or get relieved of duty or fired in the first Trump regime? They planned on doing this, and he failed. He didn't get it done. His protege, Marco Rubio, now has got it done. Or maybe they figured out they did the wrong thing, and anyway. Yeah, they changed procedure or whatever. J.D. Vance must have forgotten that 30 days ago, Trump pardoned the former leader of Honduras and drug kingpin Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was in prison for drug trafficking. This isn't about narco-terrorism. J.D. Vance and PSA for everyone who said this was illegal. Maduro has multiple indictments in the U.S. for narco-terrorism, but you don't get to avoid justice for drug trafficking in these United States because you live in a palace in Caracas. This is great. Robert Murray. You know who else has multiple indictments? Netanyahu. Mexico's president, who's also Jewish, by the way, slams Trump's attack on Venezuela, says it destabilizes the hemisphere. Now, if you want to talk about fentanyl, Mexico, excuse me, China makes it. Mexico puts it together, and you're in my pocket. Thanks. After this is done, I'm not going to speak the rest of the night. But I'm actually feeling much better. I did a mullein steam bath. Like cook some water, boil some water, threw some mullein in it, put a towel on my head. Felt great. It's just that I did it 2 hours ago, so it's starting to wear off a little bit. This is great. Different wars, same propaganda. This might be some cuss. I don't want to do it. Yeah, he's talking about Iraq. Hold on. I'll go ahead and play that part at least. He's not. They don't cuss on that, but it's fun to see how similar that is.
Full opportunity to do it the easy way. And when it doesn't work, we'll do it the hard way.
If we can do things the easy way, that's fine. And we have to do it the hard way, that's fine too.
Chemical weapons as a threat to the United States.
Fentanyl poses a chemical weapons threat to the United States.
Al-Qaeda terrorists inside Iraq.
Al-Qaeda of our hemisphere.
We can get rid of Saddam. It could really begin to transform the region.
There's an opportunity to transform the entire region.
Bringing freedom and democracy.
Democracy and freedom can serve as a
beacon of hope.
Shock and awe.
Hey, there's something. Like you said, right. Maduro says I was captured as he pleads not guilty to drug trafficking charges. You know what's funny about this? One of the dumb funny ones is they're charging with weapons, violation of weapons for the U.S. He lives in Venezuela. Why is the U.S. weapons laws have any effect on him in Venezuela? That's just totally. They're just throwing stuff at the wall with that. Yeah, that was. I mean, that was creepy. I mean, eerily creepy. Like you said, history doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme. The market has anointed Chevron the big Venezuela winner, but oil majors face a long road before any payoff. Chevron holds the advantage of the only major U.S. oil company currently operating in Venezuela, according to Wall Street analysts. But a long and expensive road lies ahead for U.S. oil majors to restore Venezuela to its peak production of 3.5 million barrels per day, reached in the 1990s. There's Robert Barnes. It is now legal, because he's talking about, JD's trying to do the illegal thing. It is now legal to use domestic law enforcement to invade foreign nations. Then every nation in the world can invade any other to arrest their leader on trumped-up domestic charges. Legality required extradition to avoid such kidnapping campaigns. And as Massie said, and it's 100% right, horrible precedent. Because again, we don't have the moral high ground. What if China does it to someone else? Is the U.S. going to say, "Oh, dude, you can't do that"? You just did it. There's no morality in D.C. government anymore. Reporter, you said Maduro is responsible for drug trafficking. You recently pardoned the former president of Honduras convicted of drug trafficking. Trump. He was the head of the country. He was persecuted very unfairly. Irony dies 1,000 deaths. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? Here's Clown World. That has nothing to do with Clown Planet, by the way. People do think I run Clown World. I honestly, people have come up to me and say, "Hey, yes, that post was great." What post? And he does a garbage job usually of posting too. Anyways, he said so symbolic, and I was like, no symbolic. It's not. I messed up. It's not symbolic at all. How many would I can't read. How many would have done that if Brandon was kicked out? How many would have done that with Trump? How many would have done that with Obama? There's always going to be people who doesn't like the other guy. All you got to do is tear down something and have someone cheering in front, and that makes the entire country against them. No. The American conservative President Trump responds to critiques that his actions in Venezuela constitute a sort of regime change and nation building he once campaigned against. Quote, "This isn't a country on the other side of the world. This is Venezuela. It's in our area." The Monroe Doctrine, he meant to put type. And then Dave DeCamp, what's he going to say when he tries to do regime change in Iran? You know it's coming. And on top of that, why this is big on another big reason. All right, we took all that oil. We're taking all that oil from Venezuela. So if they go up and blow up Iran, guess what? You don't have an oil problem anymore, because you can just use the oil from Venezuela and forget about the Iranian oil. Even if they close down the Gulf, you got the oil down in Venezuela. You don't have an oil problem anymore. You can bomb anybody you want. Maria Corina Machado, the far-right U.S.-backed Venezuela coup leader who won the Nobel War Prize, promised a massive privatization if Trump can put her in power. She vowed to sell off $1.7 trillion of Venezuela's oil, gas, gold, and infrastructure, etc., to U.S. corporations. Don't you love being sold out by someone in your own blood? JD again, you see a lot of claims that Venezuela has nothing to do with drugs because most of the fentanyl comes from elsewhere. I want to address this because I'm being told to, and y'all would listen to me no matter what. First off, fentanyl isn't the only drug in the world, and there is still fentanyl coming from Venezuela, or at least there was. Okay. Second, cocaine, which is the main drug trafficked out of Venezuela, is a profit center for all Latin American cartels. His own government website says that's not true. If you cut out the money from cocaine, blah, blah, blah. Yes, a third, yes, a lot of fentanyl is coming out of Mexico. That continues to be a focus of our policy in Mexico and is the reason why Trump shut the border on day one. Really? That was the reason? Fourth, I see a lot of criticism about oil. About 20 years ago, Venezuela expropriated American oil property and recently used that stolen property to get rich and fund their narco-terrorist activities. Okay. As Robert Barnes brings up, one, our own indictment of Maduro admits that less than 10% of all cocaine trafficking came through Venezuela at any point. Number two, we've seen this script before, though JD was only 5 at the time, Panama. 3, after we removed Noriega, guess how much of that drug supply went down? None. It went up. 4, guess how much of the drug supply traffic declined in Panama? It didn't. It doubled. And Thomas Massie retweeting the same one. It's not American oil. It's Venezuelan oil. It's in the ground in Venezuela. That's like you going over to someone else's home, helping them build something, and then 10 years later coming, I own that land. But you help build something. You don't own someone else's backyard. That's Venezuela's sovereign nation. We're coming over there saying, well, that's ours now. Oil companies entered into risky deals to develop oil, and the deals were canceled by a prior Venezuelan government. What's happening? Lives of U.S. soldiers are being risked to make those oil companies, not Americans, more profitable. Okay, wait, hold on. It's the most pagan thing that you can find. Yes, Maria is not the brightest, but she's a devout Catholic and faced against Chavez Maduro for the last 20. She's also a rabid Zionist. I might not understand the situation 100%, but I know I've read her, listened to her, seen clips from her. She's a Zionist and she wants to bring Israel to Venezuela. What sense does that make? How do you tell me how do you tell me she's devout Catholic when she goes over and kisses the wall? You challenge me all you want. I don't care. I love you. I want you to tell me, but I'm going to bring it back. You're going to bring something in. I will tell you the information back. She's a Zionist. I don't know too many devout Catholics that are Zionists. You can't do that. It's like Freemasonry and Catholicism. You can't be both. You can't be a Zionist and be a Catholic at the same time. They don't work that way. How to qualify for Team America, the puppet show. Maria Corina Machado, Ahmad al-Sharaa, and Prince Reza Pavlov. U.S. Pro-Council designate, popularly elected or popular revolution? No. Ready to privatize all national assets to U.S. companies? Check across the board. Carried out terrorism against citizens of his or her own country? The good Catholic said, yeah, she did. Fascinating and facilitating invasions of his or her own country? Check off it up. Ready to recognize apartheid Israel? Check across the board. Guess who also is a communist area? These United States. 1860s. The U.S. the Red Republicans entered. The 1848ers from German revolutions came over during the Lincoln administration and entered U.S. politics. They're nicknamed the Red Republicans. That same group is still the same group as today. The Democrats of today is an offshoot from the Republicans today. They're the same thing. The progressive movement, the communists had to have a marketing change, a name brand change, and it's progressive. This is a communist government. If you look at the pillars of planks of communism, the U.S. federal government checks off all 10 of them. There was a 28, the socialist platform. I think we check off 27 out of 28. Communism is everywhere. If you don't think the U.S. is a communist thing, again, income tax, that's a communist platform. Free education, public education, communist platform. What do you think of healthcare? The government healthcare is the socialized medicine, communistic. It's social. Back in the day, socialism, communism was the exact same thing. America is at least attempted to fight the Zionists. That's why people don't even get a chance. Yeah, again, I'm not saying that, hey, I'm for it. I'm not saying I'm for Maduro. I'm saying, hey, I'm Team Maduro. Give me the flag. Woo! No. Two things can still be right at the same time. He could be a bad guy, and we could do something illegal. Two wrongs do not make a right. Not again. This is like when I go after Trump. This is not saying, hey, he must be pro Brandon. No, it's the false economy on that. Just because you're against one doesn't mean you're for the other. You can be against. I don't like any of these governments. They're too big. Most of them are authoritarian dictatorship, including the federal government here in the United States. And they don't do. I mean, yeah, decentralization needs to go down everywhere. You got globalism coming up in a massive form across the world, in every group, in every country. You said Maduro is responsible for trafficking. Oh yeah. Trump. He was treated like Trump. He was treated like the Brandon administration treated a man named Trump. This was a man persecuted very unfairly. He was the head of a country. He's talking about the Honduran narco-terror. And then again, if anybody wants to go after saying you have to go after Maduro, what is your argument on that? Give me something how do you explain the Hernandez thing? You got a guy who was in prison for 27 years for life for narco-terrorism, literally for that. And Trump pardoned him for the exact same reason that you're going after Maduro. So if you're gonna say, hey, the guy get rid of the commie guy, the only reason they're doing it is because of oil. They don't care about anything else. You think they care about communists? They are commies. They want the oil. Massie gets called a true hater of Israel because, of course, what matters when you get elected an American congressman is his opinion of other countries. And, of course, there's no hate. Massie simply believes America first means America first. I've literally seen people say this is America first. Going after Venezuela is America first. I don't know how. You have to do some gymnastics and turn yourself into a pretzel, but yeah. Trump on Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. The cartels are running Mexico. She is not running Mexico. We could be politically correct and be nice and say, oh yes, she is. No. She's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico, and I've asked her a number of times, would you like us to take out the cartels? Something is going to have to be done in Mexico. So they're not going to go regime change there, since she's Jewish and probably a Zionist too. So they'll go in and bomb and go to war against cartels, unconstitutionally, by the way, but there won't be a regime change there. Okay. Here's the black sands of southern Venezuela, rich in coltan and rare earths, are plundered by state actors, guerrillas, and mafias operating between Bolivar, Amazonians, and Colombia. It seems obvious from this video that the administration worked with big U.S. oil companies before the attack to line up billions of dollars in capital for developing Venezuela's oil reserves, yet they couldn't be bothered to consult Congress. Notice something that there's Maduro gets arrested, and there hasn't been any Epstein arrest, by the way. Yeah, I saw that. That would be really not smart of them to leave a socialist federal government for another socialist federal government. You're not getting the point. I'm not saying, again, did I stutter? I know I'm coughing sometimes. Did I say that I'm for Maduro? Did I say he was a Saint Maduro? No, I didn't say anything of that point. By the way, I got videos at the end of people upset in Venezuela about it. Yes, there was inflation of food. There was shortages of food. I get it. But that doesn't mean that the U.S. government can go and violate international law and constitutional law and do whatever they want. Still can't do that. People aren't that stupid. Venezuela is not a threat. It's a prize. Your government needs to paint it as some looming danger so it can justify rolling in and taking control now that China has built an oil project in that little teardrop lake. Brings in the look at the fishermen. Yes, Frank Stanley talks about before anyone talks about bombing fishing boats or stopping fentanyl from Venezuela, here are some actual facts. Distance. The closest point between Venezuela and the United States is 1,073 miles. That's over 1,000 miles of open ocean. Fishing boats, a typical fishing boat, would need 6 to 12 full tanks of fuel to even attempt that trip. It's not a realistic trafficking route. It's not even physically practical. How much fentanyl comes from Venezuela? Virtually none. Venezuela is not a source country for fentanyl going into the United States. Where U.S. fentanyl actually comes from, China supplies most of the chemicals. Mexico manufactures it. Fentanyl enters through ports of entry by land, hidden in vehicles, not fishing boats. So the idea that Venezuela fishing boats are flooding the U.S. with fentanyl is not just wrong, it's physically impossible. If you want to solve the fentanyl crisis, we have to start with facts, not myths. Again, but no one cares about that. Yeah. This is not team party politics. You want to be Team Trump and MAGA, no matter what. If you're more MAGA than Catholic, fine, just say it. I'm not. I'm not any of them. That's why the Pope came out and said it too, and Edward Fraser backed the Pope up, and people are going after him. Let's see. I speak for the Venezuelan people as a devout Catholic. We simply don't care about the oil anymore. We've been wanting the regime change for years. You don't get how hard it is to see well, hey, you might not care about the oil. They might not care about the oil, but the guys in DC care about that oil. I'm from a communist country. Those who celebrate in Venezuela are the ones who are benefits of the regime or are forced to go march. What happens in Nicaragua too? Well, I mean, I got video that I'll show you at the end. Plus, again, every country in the world is a communist country. If you, do I have to spell it out? Do I have to show it to you? The DC government is a communist government. If you don't think it is, tell me, and I will explain to you how, and I'll show you how. And if you just want to avoid, the Nile is not a river in Egypt. The Venezuela plot thickens. While Venezuela holds 303 billion barrels of oil reserves, much of this is heavy crude oil. Texas and Louisiana also happen to have 6 of the largest heavy crude oil refineries in the world. What does this mean? In the early 2000s, Venezuela was a much larger oil producer in the U.S. In fact, Venezuela produced 3 times as much oil at nearly 3.3 million barrels per day. By 2020, Venezuela production has declined to just 900,000 a day, while the U.S. hit 5 million a day. First, Venezuela has been heavily sanctioned by the U.S. for years. This resulted in old infrastructure hindering the ability to extract heavy oil. Heavy oil is far more expensive to extract than light crude. This requires advanced tech like steam injection. The image below helps to better understand. The leftmost vial shows heavy crude oil, which is often like a goo-like mixture. As you move to the right, the crude oil becomes lighter and much easier to process. But here's exactly why this is a crucial point for the U.S. The U.S. has become incredibly dependent on heavy crude oil. In 1980, just 10 to 20% of U.S. crude oil imports were heavy crude oil. Today, the majority of U.S. crude oil imports are heavy crude oil at around 70%. The U.S. wants more heavy crude, and Venezuela has billions of barrels of it. Now let's take a look at crude oil imports from the U.S. Canada's share of imports have surged from 15 to 60% of U.S. imports. Meanwhile, Venezuela's imports to the U.S. have effectively stalled. If the U.S. can restore these imports, it would be highly profitable for the U.S. government. Currently, Venezuela holds more oil reserves than any other country in the world. They even hold 20% more oil reserves than Saudi Arabia. What's the best way to restore these massive crude oils in imports? The U.S. take control of the country's oil reserves. Yesterday, President Trump explicitly said it. We're going to have to have our very large oil U.S. companies go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the broken infrastructure, and start making money. Trump also said the U.S. will sell large amounts of oil pumped from Venezuela. And it becomes even more strategic Aside from Venezuela, Russia is one of some of the largest heavy crude oil reserves in the world. Tapping the Venezuela heavy crude oil reserves effectively further weakens Russia's influence. This is also a geopolitical move. And to top it all off, China is the largest buyer of Venezuela oil. This accounts for around 5% of China's total annual imports. As the U.S. gains control of Venezuela, this gives Trump even more control over China. This is what I did. Yep. Lastly, economic impact goes well beyond oil. They hold 200 trillion cubic feet of natural gas reserves, and many are unexplored. The economic implications of this weekend's events are massive. Just socialist. According to U.S. officials, Maduro was captured by Delta Force, the preeminent U.S. special op unit. We're only seeing DEA patches for the photo ops, so we can collectively pretend this was a law enforcement operation that was about drugs, not oil or Sino-Russian influence in the region. DC Drano, we got him. Mr. Epstein Binder himself. Thomas Massie, 25-page indictment, but no mention of fentanyl or stolen oil. Search for it yourself. I got the links underneath. Check it out. Click it. Question: China, Russia, and Iran have interests in Venezuela. How does this operation affect your relationship with them? Trump, in terms of other countries that want oil, we're in the oil business. We're going to sell it to them. We'll be selling oil. Ladies and gentlemen, that's called socialism. When a government takes control over private industry, that's socialism. I don't know what else you want to call it. Again, you don't want to bring it up. That's what socialism is. That was a great move. Winner gets the spoils. I don't know who the winner is. Trump speaking about Venezuela in December 18, 2025. They took our oil rights. We have a lot of oil there. They threw our companies out and we want it back. This is Trump for 3 years ago, June 10, 2023. When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We could have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. He pretty much blames Brandon for for propping him up and not destroying the country. Rubio, this is about a dictator who oppresses his people. Hegseth, this is about drugs that impose the imminent threat. Trump, nah, it's about oil. Well, I see we're going to have us strongly involved in it. That's all. What I can say, we have the greatest oil companies in the world. It seems the U.S. war machine was deployed against Venezuela while a Chinese delegation was visiting to negotiate bilateral trade deals. This rogue attack is meant to send a signal to China, Russia, Iran, and all the BRICS for the rest of the world. We talked about this at the beginning of the show. We will do what we want without restraint. We will bypass Congress. Illegal, by the way. If there's a conservative on here, if you're a conservative, quote unquote, or a Republican, and when you say when the Democrats are in power, you need to obey the Constitution, but you're okay with Trump disobeying the Constitution, that's called hypocrisy. You can't have it both ways. I know there's plenty of GOPers and Democrats. It's called the Calhounian thing. When you're Calhounian dilemma. When the other party's out, all of a sudden they find the Constitution again. They're finding state rights again. When they're in control, they just become imperialists. Affect my soul. We and us does not mean the U.S. government because America is not a democracy and the majority of Americans don't benefit. The we and us signifies Israel and the capitalist American elite who are mostly one and the same. That's a good point because when all that happened, how's that help anybody? Does prices of grocery stores go down? Does gas go down? Does anything go down? Does the housing go down? Anything go down? Nope. But the oil companies they're going to make billions. Trump's going to make billions. You making billions? You're not going to make anything, but we will cheerlead. Hey, wave the MAGA flag. Get the hat. You're not even getting a cookie from it. It's like, what did they do to get some people so, just their loyalty so much? Maduro erupts and tells judge he was kidnapped while wife Celia shows off head injuries in first court appearance. Delcy Rodriguez was sworn in as Venezuela's interim president on Monday before the National Assembly. with her brother Jorge presiding after retaining her post as the chamber's head. Trump said the U.S. is going to run Venezuela under what legal authority? Rubio doesn't answer. It's funny as anything. Question, let me ask this again. What is the legal authority for the United States to be running Venezuela? Rubio doesn't answer. Again, that's the point. Where's the legal authority to do that? They don't have any. Again, are we not a nation or rule of law? Don't we say that? Everyone's a nation of laws. As Catholics, do we not have laws? Find me a Catholic teaching that says any nation can go in and do whatever it wants to someone else. Remember just war theory? If you're for this, you pretty much have now jettisoned just war theory. You pretty much said just war theory is gone. Don't have to worry about it. There's international laws for a reason. You have to obey them. You can't just say, oh, we can blow them up because we're Americans and I'm still a good Catholic. No. Well, Nick, that's the problem. The original Constitution does say that. It actually says it in the words. That because they have abused that power since World War II doesn't mean it's okay. And yes, I get the idea of you like going around doing power tripping and doing that. Washington did that with the tax revolt. I get it. That's not saying it was good. They did not like it when he did that. But the Constitution does require a declaration of war from Congress. That's literally in the words. It's right there. They do. If they don't follow it, that's a different issue. But it's in the word. That's in the Constitution. Here is Judge Napolitano with Anya Parampil. She wrote see if I have the frame. Oh, there it is. Yeah, she wrote this book, Corporate Coup, Venezuela and the End of U.S. Empire, from a couple of years ago. If you want to watch it, 27 minutes, very good information on what's going on, how the things are in ground zero and things like that in it. Or you can just get it from Fox News and just be told what to believe from there, and everything's all hunky-dory and this is legal and all that. What did Christopher Columbus do under the Spanish monarchy? And he was what did he do that you're trying to tell me? I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to say on that. I'm not yelling it. Just tell me what you mean on that, please. Democrats don't play fair, so why should we always lose? Oh, so now that's team party politics. That doesn't mean just one does wrong, so we got to do wrong. Two wrongs do not make a right. This is not about a crusade. This is not a religious taker. This is not converting anybody. This is not going after retaking the Holy Land or anything like that. This has nothing to do with the Crusades. Yeah, Barbary Pirates. Yeah. Jefferson was going after those guys. They brought that up many times. That comes from Monroe and J.Q. Adams saying, we do not go out searching for monsters to slay. That's also there. And because remember, World War I, it was all about staying out of the war. World War II, all about staying out of the war. And then they come in and put us in. Now, these guys, no one wanted foreign interventions. What am I saying? No, it's not. I don't know what is Phoebe. What is it not? What do you need over the next 2 weeks from Delcy Trump? Total access. We need total access. We need access to the oil and other things. So he's pretty much telling that he's telling the new president that he needs total access to their country. And here's Daniel D. Martino. Trump essentially threatens to kill Delcy if she doesn't handle the transition to democracy well. Thank you, Mr. President. Venezuelans trust you. In a telephone interview this morning, Trump issued a not-so-veiled threat against the new Venezuela leader, Delcy Rodriguez, saying that if she doesn't do what's right, she's going to pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro. What? Again, we're off our rockers. Marco Rubio issues huge warning to Cuba after Maduro capture. Quote, they're in a lot of trouble. When are we going to say, hey guys, time out? We can't be the imperial Team America World Police. We can't be imperialism. We can't take over the planet. That's an empire, ladies and gents. Are we defending empire building? We're at the end of the Roman Empire right here. There's no constitution. It has the trappings of a republic, but ain't no constitutional republic at all anymore. They're just doing whatever they want to do. Look at Libya right now. Yep. Thanks, Cody. Yeah. Exactly. Maybe we should let the Vatican take over. What? That don't make any sense. Not the whole planet, just Western civilization hemisphere. Are we supposed to take over the entire hemisphere? No. Still no. But I get it. If you're giving me a Jaffer saying the entire planet, I get it. Yeah, technically just the hemisphere, but don't rule out the entire world. Trump set sights on Greenland. Trump says U.S. needs Danish territory for defense from China and Russia. And guess what? He's already talked about saying Greenland is ours. Quote, Greenland is ours. The North American Union. We do need Greenland, absolutely. Trump said the Atlantic. Surrounded by Russian and Chinese, adding that Danish territory was surrounded by Russian and Chinese ships. We need it for defense, he said of Greenland. You talk about just lying through your teeth. Just then, Denmark's Prime Minister Frederiksen said in a statement regarding responding to Trump regarding Greenland, quote, I have to say this very directly to the United States. It makes absolutely no sense to talk about the need for the United States to take over Greenland. The U.S. has no right to annex any of the three countries in the Commonwealth. The Kingdom of Denmark and thus Greenland is part of NATO and is therefore covered by the alliance security guarantee. We also have a defense agreement between the Kingdom and the United States today, which gives the U.S. wide access to Greenland. And we, on the part of the Kingdom, have invested significantly in security in the Adriatic. I would therefore strongly urge the United States to stop the threats against this historically close ally and against another country and another people who have said very clearly they are not for sale. Okay, guys, tell me go ahead and spin that one. Tell me how that's going to be Catholic to take over another land. You're going to bring up this a communist dictator starving his people? I don't think anybody in Greenland's doing that. Is Greenland selling drugs? Nope. When you join the military, they're your own body. Yeah, Force of Cubans broken. Maduro sent drugs. Gangbangers stole property of Americans. And give us the evidence then, because no one's have any evidence of that. You just can't say Fox News said that. We need to work with Maduro. Happy for Venezuela. We need to work without Maduro. Happy for Venezuela. All right. Come at me when remind me that in 10 years when it's just like everywhere else, when it's gotten worse. Guys, why is this imperialism here? The indictment says that you can indict anybody for anybody. Bolton got indicted. Trump's been indicted. Who else got indicted? Jay Comey got indicted. There's 100 people I can list that have been indicted. What does indictment does? Indictments do nothing. It's a kangaroo court. It's all drama. I mean, what I think it was Larry Johnson, former CIA, says they probably highly likely that we paid off everyone there so we can come in and get him and leave because everything was done so quickly and easily. So he's under the thing that the CIA really paid the people off. U.S. weighing intervention in Iran. Indications received by Post Show. Hey, all right, guys. Using your own arguments. I guess going in Iran's good now, too. The trial will show it. No, the trial won't show it. Lindsey Graham and Trump posed together with a Make Iran Great Again hat signed by Trump. There's just mock. This is showing it in their face. Donald Trump threatens to remove sick Colombia president in second operation. Trump has explicitly threatened other South American countries' military action. Having Trump stand on a plane threatening more regime change operations, including one of the neocons' decade-long crown jewel in Cuba, while Lindsey Graham stands next to him, twitching in glee and ecstasy. is the perfect illustration of MAGA foreign policy. And this Howard cutting her, Howard over there just being a bobblehead. Yeah. Let's talk about Greenland in 20 days. We need Greenland. We'll take Greenland. We'll kill anybody for Greenland. U.S. spy jet circles Mexico coast as Trump threatens Venezuela-style military attacks. Again, this is what empires do. You guys are. Some of you guys already told me we don't need to obey the Constitution. You're good conservatives. We don't need the Constitution. Go ahead and say, put out tweets out there saying you better never say when the Democrats said Obama. Did you say Obama during Obama times? Hey, he needs to obey the Constitution because I mean, come on. If it's good enough for dear leader Obama, it's good enough for Trump. Because as Catholics, we're universal and American is new Rome, so we look out for our neighbors, and that's why we're imperialists. What? No. We're so. Venezuela, largest oil reserves in the world, massive gold endowment, one of the largest iron ore deposits in the Western Hemisphere, meaningful nickel and rare mineral potential, enormous natural gas reserves. Read that again. No, it's about gold. It's about communism and drugs, I'm told. This is great. They overthrew a conservative alpha male dictator to install a libtard female. They grew in a global homo think tank democracy lab, and all the revoked the 19th Amendment bros are clapping like trained seals. And just like him telling he's a communist dictator, robbed his country. And Nelson, I quite literally called him a dictator. I've done the same thing. He's not a good dude. He's oh no, you're for that. No. Kristi Noem encourages Venezuelans to now apply for refugee status in America. Good night, everyone. Hashtag told you so. Here's a Last American Vagabond. Every single time, such shameless grifters. Oh, well, he's talking about this video. This video is AI generated and is currently being presented as a factual statement intended to mislead people. Wall Street apes. Venezuelans are crying on their knees, thanking Trump and America for freeing them from Nicolas Maduro. How many of you guys thought that was real? Excuse me. Would you support the Pope calling for a crusade? One, he wouldn't call it, and two, nobody would answer because there's a lot of guys that would say they would, and the only thing they would do, you would know who they were because they would be running for the hills, and you could follow the urine tracks when bullets actually fly by. There's a lot of guys that talk a big game at the keyboards. Oh, I want to go fight, and they would if they want a war, they would freak out if a real war was in their backyard. The guys who talk a big game are the ones you don't want to be around when that stuff like that starts flying. When real bullets start flying, you don't want that guy that talks a big game when everything's going well. Because they're just talking. It's all talk. Glenn Greenwald, yet another mega viral video from Trump supporters that is falsely described. This is not a video from today. This is an old video long before that. There also aren't close to millions there. But again, who cares? These claims these claims make people feel good. That's what counts. Alex Jones. Millions of Venezuelans flood the streets of Caracas and other major cities in celebration of the ouster of communist dictator Maduro. This video shows anti-Maduro protests in Caracas in July 29, 2024, following the disputed presidential elections. Not celebrations by his recent capture of U.S. forces, but who cares? I mean, Alex don't care. That got how many views? 2.2 million views. Glenn Greenwald. This is Miami, not Venezuela. Nick Shirley. Oh, yeah, Nick Shirley, the guy from the Minnesota thing. Wait a minute. The mainstream media lied to us again. The people in Venezuela actually didn't like being ruled by a narco-terrorist. World Cup style celebrations erupting all over Venezuela. This video depicts Venezuela exiles celebrating in the U.S. capture in Doral, Miami, Florida. Trump, we're going to run the country. For anyone with short memory, here's what happened the last time the U.S. tried to run a country, Afghanistan. 5.8 trillion billed to taxpayers and future generations, 46,000 Afghan civilians killed, 29.2 billion lost to waste, fraud, and abuse, 83 billion spent training Afghan forces who collapsed in days, 20-year war ending with Taliban replaced by the Taliban, bases abandoned overnight, leaving 7 billion in U.S. military equipment behind. The withdrawal triggered humanitarian disaster. Conflict continues this day. This is not altruism. It's not about freeing people. The U.S. has a long, painful track record of failed nation building and disastrous occupations. And if you genuinely believe Trump will be different than Brandon, remember multiple casino bankruptcies. Trump Airlines. Yeah, well, I'm not just bringing that. Don't forget the ethnic cleansing and the Trump Gaza 15-minute city they're building. In 2019, Mark Lutter, whose nonprofit received tons of money from the Teal-backed Emergent Ventures in 2018, said, quote, "We're putting out a white paper looking at Venezuela, assuming this transfer of power does go through. And if you can get chartered cities to be a part of the conversation, there is opportunity." Here's the link. What is charter cities? 15-minute cities, smart cities. Here, the announcement of the Thiel Foundation $1 million grant to Emergent Ventures in July 2018. Another one from Rosita and more. Funded by Thiel. Make Honduras great. Freedom cities. You can find this Freedom City white papers on CCI's website. A little bit of Greenland right there. Honduras. U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Zionist Huckabee says the U.S. takeover of Venezuela is good for Israel. Quote, Hezbollah is very active in Venezuela. There's been a 20-year partnership between Iran and Venezuela. They've been targeting Jewish people, he says. I'd like to see regime change in Cuba, Anna, but that's not our business. We have people suffering here. Moynihan, terrorists are coming in. Anna, what are you talking about? I thought Trump was protecting our borders. Again, all you got to say, terrorists coming in. Terrorists are coming in. How come if I do a news show, then I get that? I thought this was a Catholic channel. Again, you go back when I did Rundown, no one cared about that. I never saw a text saying, I thought this was a Catholic channel. Am I not allowed to do a news show? Yes or no? Am I not free? Do I not have the freedom to put a news show on this? Again, if you don't like it, go to another one. I'm not forcing you to click and watch. This doesn't line in line with the videos I see here about the saints and their charity. Ballista, I hope that you have watched every video of the saints that I've posted up. I have about 12 each day on butlers, Garanger every day. There's about saints of the day, at least 18 each day. I'm doing one video here. Come on. If you protest Trump's kidnapping Maduro and assault on Venezuela, you hate freedom and will be arrested. So apparently they arrested people. That was at Grand Rapids. She was arrested by 2 Grand Rapids police officers for that. I'd play it, but YouTube doesn't like having some local news channels on. Thank you. Thank you, Benedicta. I got a couple. I guess just because of the topic, those new people have come in and they don't like it at all. Why are people getting offended that you're doing this? I don't get it, man. Just apparently I'm supposed to. No one sent me the 3x5 card to read from, so apparently they need to send me the 3x5 cards so they don't get mad. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, the International Criminal Court, the ICC, doesn't apply to Israel or the United States. It was designed for us. Translation: justice is for the powerless. This is how empires speak and how international law collapses. And you know what? One of the things that I bring up about this is why I'm doing this with all the links. This isn't just my opinion here. I'm giving you the evidence of them saying their own things. I got the link. Go underneath. There's a link right there. Gives you to all the links of what they're doing. If you like it, go take a look at the links. If you have any links to back up your arguments, send them to me. There's a comment section on the bottom of the website. Comment. Send me a link. I'm happy to look at it. But just don't tell me you're wrong without giving me some evidence. Breaking. Ryan just dropped a bombshell. Ryan says Marco Rubio, quote, personally and explicitly lied to him and to Congress during briefings on whether regime change in Venezuela was being planned. If that's true, this isn't spin or miscommunication. If Congress, it's Congress being deliberately misled about war powers and foreign intervention. And here's even breaking. Even members of the Venezuelan opposition are now demanding Maduro's release. Glenn Greenwald. Now that the mega viral video spread by Trump influencers were exposed as frauds, and we see real videos of Venezuelans in that country demanding their sovereignty, MAGA will return to Venezuelans are dirty third world pygmies and don't share our values or culture, but who cares what they think? Yeah. Tell me that's fake news? I don't know. Anyway, God love you. Thanks for coming in. Even the new guys that gave me busted my chops a little bit. I love you. Thank you for coming on. I try to do it every day, but I won't be able to do it every day. Maybe 3 times a week. And again, if you know about the flock, how about this? If you guys that are busting my chops know about the flock and ring and all that, the takeover, I'm pretty much the only guy exposing this stuff for the Catholic world. Why am I doing it? And this is the Catholic channel. I'll tell you that. Most of the Catholics I know of don't know about all this stuff. So I got the platform to use it. I'll show you stuff that alternate media and the alternate the stuff from the non 3x5 approved card is shown on there. And hopefully get some Catholics informed about what's really going on and not being what they're told to by the mainstream media and the approved resources that you see all the time. Cheerleaders all over the place get a bigger name. You're not going to see Jack Paso and all those guys who have blocked me, by the way. Question the regime, question Trump, question anything like that. And well, Flock, Nick, Flock and Ring, beginning of December, Flock and Ring combined forces to become pretty much a technocratic hellhole, videoing everything and putting it out on like Netflix style for anybody to see. Working, and there's quite a few videos for that. Go back in the playlist. You'll see the reports I did. Just under here, you'll see the playlist, or click on a playlist. You'll see this one. It was the beginning of December. So yeah, try to do that and give you a little information on things. Happy visual of the Epiphany. Happy 12th day. Get you some Epiphany water if you can. If not, try to go by a Byzantine church. They at least got some. Have a great rest of the night. I will see you guys later. I'm gonna get another pomegranate water. Flock and Ring. I'm sorry, RING. Ring. Flock and Ring. Flock is those video cameras that are on every road right now. They're recording 80 billion license plates a month, they say. And now Ring, the doorbell system, they're tracking everybody that walks by, and they're combined forces, all for your safety, remember. Anyways, have a great rest of the night. God bless you. Say a Hail Mary for me, and I'll say a Hail Mary for you. Anyway, probably see you on Wednesday for Hump Day. Have a great Epiphany, guys. And what was that? Oh yeah, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Do have to do the whole thing. And yeah.